Before we begin, let me ask you a simple question. What if one of the biggest battles of your life was taking place inside your own brain, and you didn't even know it? What if a habit that millions of people consider normal was quietly influencing your motivation, your focus, your confidence, your relationships, your ambitions, and even the way you see yourself? For many people, pornography is just entertainment. It is something they consume when they are bored, lonely, stressed, curious, or looking for pleasure. They assume it is harmless because it is common. After all, if millions of people are doing it, how bad could it be? But history has taught us an important lesson. Just because something is common does not mean it is harmless. For decades, people smoked cigarettes before scientists fully understood their effects. People consumed unhealthy foods before understanding nutrition. People spent endless hours on social media before researchers began studying its impact on mental health. The internet has transformed almost every aspect of modern life. It has connected the world in ways our ancestors could never have imagined. But it has also created entirely new environments that the human brain never evolved to handle. One of the most powerful of these environments is internet pornography. Unlike any generation before us, modern humans have access to an unlimited supply of sexual stimulation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Think about that for a moment. For nearly all of human history, a man could go his entire life without seeing more than a few dozen naked women. Today, a teenager with a smartphone can see more explicit content in one afternoon than an ancient king could see in his entire lifetime. The brain did not evolve for this. The reward circuits inside your skull were designed for a completely different world. A world where pleasure required effort. A world where relationships required commitment. A world where rewards were earned. But now, the reward arrives instantly. No waiting. No effort. No risk. No rejection. No commitment. Just endless stimulation delivered directly to the brain. And this is where things become fascinating. Because neuroscience is beginning to reveal what happens when an ancient brain encounters modern technology. Researchers studying addiction, dopamine, reward systems, neuroplasticity, and human behavior have uncovered surprising insights into how highly stimulating digital experiences can affect the brain. Many of these discoveries help explain why some people feel trapped in habits they desperately want to quit, why motivation sometimes disappears, why concentration becomes difficult, why ordinary life can start feeling boring, why some people report brain fog, why many struggle with self-control, and perhaps most importantly, why recovery is possible. This is not a video about shame. Shame rarely changes anyone. Knowledge does. Understanding does. Awareness does. The goal of this documentary is not to make you feel guilty. The goal is to help you understand your own mind. Because once you understand the mechanisms behind a habit, you gain power over it. You stop seeing yourself as broken. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You begin to see the system operating underneath the behavior. And once you see the system, you can start changing it. Today we will explore the science behind dopamine. We will examine how habits form. We will discuss why novelty is so powerful. We will investigate how the reward system works. We will learn about neuroplasticity. We will uncover why motivation changes. We will discuss emotional regulation. We will look at relationships. And finally, we will explore how the brain heals and adapts. By the end of this documentary, you may never look at pornography the same way again. But more importantly, you may never look at your brain the same way again. Because hidden inside your skull is one of the most powerful biological machines ever created. And whether you realize it or not, you are training it every single day. The question is, what are you training it to become? Imagine taking a hunter from 10,000 years ago and bringing him into the modern world. Imagine placing a smartphone in his hands. Within seconds, he would gain access to more information than the greatest scholars of his era. He could communicate across continents, watch videos from around the world, access libraries of knowledge. And if he discovered internet pornography, he would encounter something that no human being in history had ever experienced before. Unlimited sexual novelty. Instantly. Without effort. Without limits. Without waiting. To understand why this matters, we first need to understand how evolution shaped the human brain. For millions of years, survival was difficult. Food was scarce. Predators were everywhere. Life expectancy was low. The brain evolved to pay close attention to opportunities that improved survival and reproduction. This is why humans are naturally drawn toward food, social connection, status, novelty, and sex. These things mattered for survival. Your ancestors who paid attention to these rewards were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. The ones who ignored them often disappeared from the genetic line. As a result, modern humans inherited brains that are highly sensitive to reward. This sensitivity helped our ancestors survive. But in today's world, it can sometimes create problems. Why? Because technology can artificially amplify rewards far beyond what nature intended. Let's use food as an example. Imagine giving a prehistoric human a modern chocolate cake. The amount of sugar, fat, flavor, and calories would be unlike anything they had ever encountered. Their brain would likely respond with intense excitement. Not because cake is evil, but because the reward system evolved in a world where such concentrated pleasure did not exist. The same principle applies to pornography. The brain evolved for real human connection, real courtship, real intimacy, real relationships. Instead, modern technology can deliver an endless stream of highly stimulating content directly to the reward system. The result is something researchers sometimes call a supernormal stimulus. A supernormal stimulus is an exaggerated version of something the brain naturally finds rewarding. Animals often respond more strongly to supernormal stimuli than to the original natural stimulus. For example, certain birds will prefer artificially enlarged eggs over their own real eggs. Why? Because their brains are responding to an exaggerated version of a natural trigger. Humans are not immune to this effect. Fast food exaggerates flavor. Social media exaggerates social validation. Video games exaggerate achievement. Pornography exaggerates sexual novelty. And the brain responds accordingly. What makes internet pornography unique is not simply the sexual content. It is the combination of several powerful factors occurring simultaneously. Novelty, anticipation, accessibility, variety, endlessness. Imagine walking into a room containing 10,000 potential partners. Now imagine that every few seconds a completely new group appears. That is essentially what the modern brain encounters online. The brain's reward system notices this immediately, because from a biological perspective, novelty can signal opportunity. Researchers studying dopamine have repeatedly found that novel experiences can generate powerful responses within the brain. Novelty grabs attention. Novelty creates curiosity. Novelty drives exploration. This was useful during evolution. Our ancestors benefited from exploring new environments and discovering new resources. But pornography exploits the same mechanisms. Every click promises something different, something new, something potentially more exciting. And because the next image is always available, the search itself becomes rewarding. Many users report spending more time searching than watching. This confuses people. If pleasure is the goal, why keep searching? The answer lies in dopamine. Dopamine is heavily involved in anticipation. The possibility of reward often excites the brain more than the reward itself. This means the chase can become as stimulating as the destination. The search becomes rewarding. The anticipation becomes rewarding. The expectation becomes rewarding. Over time, the brain learns this pattern. It begins craving not just the content but the process itself. And this is where many people unknowingly enter a cycle driven not by logic, not by values, not by long-term goals, but by deeply rooted biological mechanisms. The frightening part is that most people never learn how these mechanisms work. Schools rarely teach it. Parents rarely discuss it. Society often ignores it. So millions of people engage with one of the most powerful reward-producing technologies ever created without understanding the machinery it activates inside their own heads. Imagine driving a high-performance sports car without knowing how brakes work. Eventually, problems emerge. Not because the car is evil, but because power without understanding is dangerous. The human brain is powerful. The reward system is powerful. Sexual motivation is powerful. When these forces combine with modern technology, the results can be profound. Some people experience little difficulty. Others find themselves trapped in patterns they never intended to create. Why the difference? The answer lies inside the brain itself. In the next chapter, we will dive deep into dopamine. Not the simplified version you hear online, The real story. The molecule that shapes motivation, desire, learning, habit formation, and human behavior. And once you understand dopamine, you'll begin to understand why pornography can feel so compelling, and why breaking free from it can feel like climbing a mountain. Before you leave, I want you to answer a question in the comments. After everything you've learned in this video, what do you think is the biggest impact pornography has on the human brain? Is it the effect on dopamine, the loss of motivation, the constant craving for novelty, the damage to focus and attention, or something you've personally experienced that wasn't mentioned in this video? Be honest. This is a judgment-free discussion. I read every comment, and your experience might help someone else who is fighting the same battle in silence. If this video taught you something new, type red path in the comments so I know you made it to the end. And one more question. If you could ask a neuroscientist one question about pornography, dopamine, addiction, or brain recovery, what would it be? Drop your answer below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to understand how the brain really works. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep walking the rare path.